Eye pokes often result in a stoppage, but that wasn't the case this time. Waldo Cortez Costa took an eye poke that seemed like it could have ended the fight, odd as it sounds, but we've seen similar situations before. It looked like Dia might become the first to finish Waldo, potentially propelling him toward a top contender position with such a monumental first-round finish. However, the replay clearly showed the eye poke. I was worried they might either let the win stand for Dia, which wouldn't have been fair, or call it a no contest instead of a disqualification. Surprisingly, they didn't even deduct a point from Dia when the fight resumed, signaling that a disqualification wasn't on the table either. Waldo was given the chance to continue, and he did. He persevered, and when the fight resumed, he managed a spectacular finish against Dia, who happens to be Tom Aspinall's training partner. After the fight, Waldo called out Tom, seemingly taking a jab at him for not continuing after an eye poke the way Waldo did. This narrative has unfortunately gained traction, even among fighters, with many claiming this is the proper way to handle an eye poke and criticizing Tom for not showing the same toughness as Waldo. Personally, I think Tom was justified in stopping the fight if his vision was compromised. There isn't a strict dichotomy here. It's reasonable both to continue despite an eye poke or to stop for safety. That said, winning after being eye-poked is extraordinary. It's extremely rare to see a fighter recover from such a disadvantage and score a knockout. Adding some irony, Dia may have jinxed himself. Being Tom's training partner, he had previously mentioned during fight week that he had never poked anyone in the eye in his 33-fight career, indirectly criticizing Cyril Gon for eye-poking Tom. Yet, he ended up eye-poking his own opponent in the first round. A week after the Tom Aspinall fight, on the very next card, including his training partner, this happened. Despite that, I still think Tom's decision to stop the fight was reasonable. He even reports that his vision hasn't fully recovered. Waldo's toughness and persistence are remarkable. He continued the fight despite the eye poke and secured a win, which is incredibly difficult. This sequence highlights how dangerous eye pokes can be, especially in heavier divisions where the fighter's power can lead to quick knockouts. If Waldo hadn't been so durable, he might have been KO'd against the fence. But his chin held up, even against someone like Sergey Pavlovich, and what initially looked like a TKO finish was actually disrupted by the eye poke. The eye poke was subtle and difficult to see in real time. Waldo attempted to parry, which made it look like a punch, but the replay shows the parry connected only after the eye poke. From the bird's eye angle, it appeared Waldo may have moved his hand into his own eye, but closer inspection shows the parry occurred afterward. The referee stepped in as Dia celebrated, reviewed the replay, confirmed Waldo could continue, and then the fight resumed. Commentators expressed sympathy for Dia, suggesting he may have experienced an adrenaline dump, possibly true, but I can't feel bad for him. He poked Waldo in the eye, and last week's main event ended because of a similar situation. As the fight resumed, there was a noticeable shift in Waldo's approach. Early on, he had been on the back foot while Dia applied pressure with jabs, keeping him against the fence. Waldo remained patient, waiting for counter opportunities, rather than overcommitting, demonstrating strategic awareness and resilience despite the earlier eye poke. Dia's striking style relies heavily on speed, often blitzing his opponents. He is relatively light for a heavyweight, giving him a natural speed advantage over most fighters. His quickness was apparent in this fight, and his pressure-oriented approach was clear. Before the eye poke, Dia applied a lot of pressure, while Waldo Cortez Costa seemed to adopt a more focused counter-striking style. After the eye poke, however, Waldo's approach changed dramatically. He was visibly angry and immediately started pushing forward, landing a big body punch and applying constant pressure as Dia circled to reverse positions, trying to take advantage of Waldo's measured footwork. Dia's speed and general footwork initially allowed him to regain favorable positioning, but Waldo adapted quickly. With his back near the fence, he returned to his counter-striking style. Then, in a decisive moment, he threw a very quick jab that landed directly on Dia's right eye. The clean shot snapped Dia's head back, but Waldo absorbed it, stepped forward, and followed with a right overhand that dropped Dia, finishing the fight with ground and pound. Part of the shift in momentum may have been due to Dia experiencing an adrenaline dump, but that is no excuse. He had poked Waldo in the eye. Waldo's win was remarkable, especially considering the pain he endured afterward. This was an astounding victory against the favorite. Delija had been favored to win and carried significant momentum from his UFC debut, but I wouldn't call this a derailment of his hype train. He remains a very talented fighter who will likely continue to achieve strong results in future bouts. This fight really highlights how good Waldo is. He's a tough competitor and one of the few fighters to take an eye poke and still come out with a victory. Others, like Anthony "Rumble" Johnson, have managed to win fights after being eye poked, but it's extremely rare. Fighters who can push through such adversity deserve enormous respect. Waldo's win was truly impressive. However, he's unlikely to get a fight with Tom Aspinall in the near future. While a matchup could happen eventually, I don't see Waldo beating someone at Aspinall's level. Waldo is a skilled fighter, but Aspinall, Cyril Gane, and Alexander Volkov are operating on a different tier. Considering that Waldo lost to Sergey Pavlovich, MMA math suggests Volkov and Aspinall would be similarly challenging matchups. Waldo's boxing-heavy style may not be the most efficient approach against these elite heavyweights. Volkov and Gane would likely be tougher due to their superior striking defense, while Aspinall's grappling and overall well-rounded game make him a formidable opponent. It would be interesting to see these matchups in the future. If Aspinall doesn't move on to boxing or other opportunities, a fight between him and Waldo could happen. In the meantime, a matchup against someone like Curtis Blades could be a more realistic next step for Waldo. As for Delija, a fight against Sergey Spivak would be very intriguing. Eye pokes are becoming alarmingly common in MMA. Herb Dean has indicated that discussions are ongoing to address the issue, as it seems nearly every fight card now has incidents like this. Automatic point deductions should have been applied in this fight. Delija should have lost a point before the bout resumed. Another possible deterrent is purse reductions for fouls. Implementing both measures could go a long way toward resolving the eye poke problem. Even a structured system, for example, a warning for the first foul, a point deduction for the second, and disqualification for the third, would be a step in the right direction. Herb Dean specifically stated they plan to address eye pokes separately from fouls in general, which is promising. Any improvement over the current system would help, ideally leading to automatic point deductions for severe fouls like eye pokes and low blows. Waldo's performance and resilience were incredible, and the fight also underscores the urgent need for better rules enforcement to protect fighters.